you don't like the idea of misinformation the way I do.
Obviously, sometimes it's true,
Yes.
but sometimes it's just one day's misinformation is tomorrow's information.
Well,
I mean, COVID could have
but not
started.
for everything.
No, but COVID could have started in a lab, was misinformation.
Yeah. Although, honestly, I think there are people who could see even then that. So for instance, you and I are on opposite sides of a few of these questions, but that's not one of them. From the first possible moment, I thought that's a totally valid hypothesis,
Yeah.
and to call it racist was idiotic.
Right.
And I still don't know what happened, but it's a coin toss.
But I would venture to say that in 50 years, what people will be saying about this is, wait a second, you're telling me that in 2020 there was this disease that started in the one city where the lab was that
was named after the disease
that was studying it and doing gain of function research,
right.
And yet they debated whether it came out of there and even said it couldn't possibly have come out of there. Really? That's what people were doing in 2020? That's what I think they will be saying.
Right.
That it wasn't obvious to them that there's a connection here. Now, it could have been the bats in the wet market.
The problem is that there are still. It's been at least a year since I looked at this. I did a podcast on it, but I've now kind of ignored it. But when I did that podcast, there were still credible scientific arguments to argue for the wet market origin thesis.
There still are.
Yeah. So it's
but less and less so, it seems, over time.
But the crucial point is that it was never crazy to have worried about this. And the truth, we should still be worried about it. Lab leaks happen continuously.
Yeah.
And it's just, this could well kill us with something far more dangerous than COVID.
Well,
and we're not, we don't have it locked down the way we should.
And again, you don't have to ascribe any sort of nefarious machinations to this. It's very possible that sincere people thought the best way to deal with future viruses is to get ahead of it, study it in a lab. Isn't that what gain of function research is, to see where it's the virus?
Well, so there are two steps here that are neither of which, in my view, make much sense, but it's sort of easy to see how they did make sense to people early on. Happily, I think we've pulled the brakes on much of this, but
have we?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, and that was USAID was fun. So you had this notion of virus hunting, where you would send out your virologists into bat caves, and in search of possible pandemic pathogens, right? There's an uncountable number of viruses out there to be discovered. I think they outnumber any other species of life like 10 to 1. So it's
right?
Yeah. Just
we're breathing them
millions upon millions of
You're soaking in it right
uncharacterized
now.
viruses. Yeah, no doubt. In this room, I don't doubt it.
It's on the furniture.
That's right, yeah. When I go home, it's like, you saw Silkwood, right? I've got a stage when I enter my house where
I made you healthier
showered.
tonight.
Right.
Is what I did. You're
good,
lucky.
Yes. You boosted my immune system.
I did.
Yes. Well, I would like to know the names of the women who have helped in that effort.
I must tell you, I was watching the news last night. I hadn't done that in a while. And there's Lester Holt, and he's talking about bird flu. And it's like a 3-minute package. And the whole time I'm going, oh, fuck. We're all going to die. It's just meant to make you shit your pants. Pictures of chickens. And they get to the end of it, and I'm like, oh, this is death. This is another one. It's going to be worse. And then they bring on the expert, and there's a question to her. And the very last thing she says after 3 minutes of shitting your pants is, and the only way you can get it is if you direct.
if you fuck a duck on top of a cow.
Right. You'd have to practically fuck a chicken, like Larry Flint says he lost.
Well, no, I think raw milk is suspect, specifically for bird flu. The cows got it in California, and
I see.
And you can get, and at least theoretically, I think there's some cases that they think are attributable to raw milk.
What about raw goat yogurt?
Raw anything is probably in the dairy on the dairy aisle. I think is probably just not worth the
Well, I've
risk.
been eating raw goat yogurt for
Yeah.
20 years and never got sick from it. So
All right.
what
Well,
would you say to
yeah.
that?
Well, the birds are flying over the goats and now shitting on them, and the goats might get bird flu. I mean,
You're
the cows
right.
are. So
Well, maybe it'd be a good time to take a break from it.
yeah, exactly.
No, but it's serious. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
I'm not unreasonable about
Right.
anything. I don't think
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. But in general, I mean, obviously, you understand the reasoning why people don't do it just for shits and giggles.
All right.
Eat raw. They do it because they want the probiotics in there that pasteurization and homogenization kills.
Right.
It kills just like in our body with antibiotics.
I think if you lick any of the surfaces in this room, you'll get a lot of probiotics.